Man, it is great. It is great to be here and to see all you here. It's an incredible vote of confidence. We were just talking a little earlier. It was 6 or 7 years ago. I think we had 26 people in a room, and so this is just an amazing thing. I want to thank His Honor R.T. Rybeck for his presence and words, and Kate. Also want to thank Bell Poles and Lumber, Marketplace Home Mortgage, University National Bank, the crew too, and Min Tahoe for backing this event. And so now I got to talk really fast because Dan spent all the extra time that we had. But as Terry and Abby and Shantina shared their stories, there seems to be a common thread that is woven in between there. As we've come to this proverbial table of Urban Homeworks, we've been introduced to people and relationships that have altered our worldviews, changed our paradigms, and have challenged us to see the world differently. The mission of Urban Homeworks hangs on its first line, which is the perpetuate the hope of Jesus. And we spend a lot of time talking about who this guy was and how we follow him. One of the most profound and clear articulations, I think, of the essence of Jesus is found in what many people have coined as the manifesto, or his mission statement, found in Luke 4, verse 16, or verse 18. Here's what it says. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom to the prisoners, recovery of sight to the blind, to release the oppressed, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, the year of Jubilee. Now, I'm not this smart, but I read somewhere that this little 5-line poem that Jesus recites is in a rhetorical form called inverted parallelism. And all that means to me, though, is that Jesus quotes Isaiah 61, and the first and the last line are related, the second and the fourth line are related, and the main point is the center line. The punch line, which isn't found in the passage Jesus quotes, is recovery of sight to the blind. You can hear this echo throughout history. You have eyes, but you cannot see. You have ears, but you cannot hear. My experience has been this kind of recovery. It hasn't been an instantaneous healing of my blindness. It feels an awful lot like recovery from an addiction. One day at a time, hour by hour, and it takes a community. And when I start to see my neighbor as myself. I see the humanity of my fellow person and their intrinsic value as a reflection of their Creator. And when this happens, and I embrace those I have chronically overlooked, I am confronted with the gulfs that separate us. I'm confronted with my abundance in the face of their scarcity. I am confronted with my own scarcity. I'm confronted with the inerrant privileges that society bestows upon me because of my race and my sex. To see is to grapple with those injustices and dismantle the prisons that I've consciously or unconsciously, literally or figuratively, built around people, and to consciously set my neighbor and myself free. When I begin to cross these gulfs that separate me from my neighbor, I enter into these interesting, meaningful acts of exchange. And that, my friends, is good news to the poor. And it's good news to my poor soul, too. It all comes from how we see. It comes from who we see, and it comes from who we don't see. Shantina helps me see because we have radically different perspectives. And I help her see too. Together we see more clearly than we would apart. And we change each other's worlds as we recover our sight together. I'd like to tell you a couple stories of how this exchange has started to bubble up and manifest itself through this little thing called Urban Homeworks. Last year, I kid you not, after this lunch, we sat in our office and we were opening the envelopes that I'm going to ask you to fill out soon. And there were 2 envelopes left. One of them was opened, and it was a $50,000 pledge. The next envelope was opened, and 13 $1 bills. Those 2 envelopes represent the powerful mix of people at the table. Bell Lumber and Pole's #1 metric in their company is how much money they can give back to their community. They are tying their success to the success of the city. Chantel, a single mom, 4 kids, working and going to school, came into the office a few months ago to pay her rent. And then she wrote another check as a donation and said, "Thank you." Marketplace Home Mortgage makes a donation on every transaction they close. They are tying their prosperity to that of their neighbor. On Tuesday, I jump in a semi-truck and I drive around, and farmers will be donating soybeans and corn as an act of generosity and solidarity with their brothers and sisters in the city. University National Bank has taken community banking to a new level. It is on the cutting edge of innovation and neighborhood recovery. They have had the audacity to call some of their customers partners. A few years ago, Christ Presbyterian Church and Normandale Lutheran embraced capital campaigns and raised millions of dollars, not for their own buildings and programs, but to invest in the basic needs of their brothers and their sisters in the city. Crew 2 almost closes their office every Perpetuate the Hope and dispatches their people to help run this event. Abdi, a brother who happens to be East African and Muslim, moved out of one of our homes about a year ago. A few months later, we received a donation from him as an expression that Urban Homeworks is a solution for himself and his family. Min Tahoe tasted the vision of Urban Homeworks and donated this venue today for this event. A bunch of folks have gotten together and are taking their excess capital and forming an interest-bearing private loan pool of $1 million so Urban Homeworks can go out and acquire more scattered site small rental houses and buildings in the neighborhood. They are investing in local solutions with a double, triple bottom line rather than just pursuing maximum return on investment. A friend of ours who happens to struggle with homelessness volunteers with the Quicksilvers on a regular basis. Every day, the Quickies have coffee around 10 o'clock, and one of them brings donuts. One day, our homeless friend brought the donuts. This is the holy mix of authentic, genuine acts of exchange that emerges out of seeing one another and entering into right relationships. We normally produce about 7 or 8 units of housing a year. Currently, we have 96 in the pipeline. While we're working on that, we are actively working towards new ways to engage our neighbors so that the work of Urban Homeworks and its partners is ultimately a reflection of their dreams and their hopes. Today, our goal is $200,000. We need your help to build the cross-sector relationships and real estate that can restore our neighborhood from the inside out. This lunch is an invitation to an expression of this kind of exchange. We need your help, and every gift counts, whether it's 13 $1 bills or $50,000. You make a difference. You perpetuate the hope. So now I'd like you to grab your little things on your table, your pledge cards from your table host, and I'm going to give you a moment to fill it out and place them back in the white envelope on the table. I'd like you to note that there are 2 sides to this form. And whatever you do, don't take this home with you. Please fill it out, put it back in that white envelope. And if there's an idea, or this is not about checking a box, if there's an idea that is compelling to you that you'd like to talk about and tease out further, put it on there. and I will be sure to follow up with you. All right, as you guys are finishing that up, we'll dispatch the crew two folks to the back door to frisk you, make sure you don't take these home with you. But I'd like to close the lunch today. I think we're a little over time. I apologize for that. With this poem that I've written. What does it mean for me to see you? How does it feel when I look right through? Do I care what I see, or even that I look? I do care. And here's a little of what it took. Terry came on board because he and Laura care. This man's heart is so big, full of compassion to share. He walks alongside, learning as we go, and he helps me see more than he may know. Abby made her home address a discipleship move. Not with an agenda or a point to prove, she moved to be changed and simply to be. And now she's helping our children to see. Shantina joined the team and challenges my stuff. She lets me have it, and it can get a little rough. But she shows me my blind spots with gentle grace, which has helped me see and stand in a new place. Now, I'm not sure exactly the clarity of my sight, but I know as it comes, it's often a fight with what I wish was truth, but clearly is not. And I realize I'm more blind than I thought. May you see today a little more than you did. May people emerge that before now were hid, that together we may stand, and let our cry be, with scarcity no more, we are all set free. You guys, we together hold the hope in our hands. Go and be the hope. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.